Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Crash Cinnamon. It's your host McKenna. So thank you so much for all your feedback. Today we are talking about an interesting topic. As you've seen on the title, it says be a duck. I'm not saying literally be a duck. I'm just saying to emulate some of the characteristics a duck has. I know most of the times you say be an eagle. Eagles are cool. But we know there's all the animals around us, whether they're, birds or mammals or whatever, or reptiles, they have things we can actually learn from. And I think in a way that's why the Creator put us together. So we can coexist, we can learn from each other, in as much as it's our role to take care of them. Okay? So this thing came about after two things happened in my life recently, and I thought, how do I stay calm in the midst of this humongous storm? And it was not just like a storm, it was like a storm hits, then another one and another one and another one, and I was just like, whoa, I know life happens, but this is crazy. And also I was part of a situation. Not a situationship, but a situation. I will explain. So stick around with me. So why do I say be like a duck? So what I admire mostly about ducks is this. When you see them on water, they are graceful, unless when they're fighting with each other, but they're graceful, they're just swimming. But underneath, they're paddling like crazy, and it's that motion that keeps them moving, So it got me thinking, actually, when you're having crazy stuff happening in your life, I'm not saying you pretend, but how to go about it is just try and be calm. On the surface, at least, where it needs you to be calm, especially if you have, for example, a project going on that you need to finish, if it's you're representing your company for a certain thing, if it's in front of children, things have gone wrong, but you have to stay strong because of them. And that's what happened. So recently I have friends who've lost loved ones, and it was just so hard to see them unravel in that way. And it was in a place whereby I was in shock. I know death will come to all of us, and it's something natural, but it just, the way it came, it was just too hard. And I was also dealing with a personal crisis at that time. And it's a crisis that happened in work whereby you think you know something, but it doesn't. And I'm actually in the process of following it up weeks, and it's taken so long to actually follow it up. But I just needed to give myself time to be unangry with the whole situation. How many know that sometimes, even though you're in the right, you can't operate from a place of anger? And I don't mean we can't get angry, but this kind of anger where you want to burn everything, smash someone's window, really vent it out. And that kind of anger will never do you any good, except book you some time in the big house, So I needed to calm down and speak to a few people to just get pointers of what to do. So I was like, I went to God and I was like, yo, what just happened? I thought we were cool. I thought everything was going right. What just happened? And in the middle of breathing through that, one of my best friends, that died. Then one of my other close friends, one of the siblings was in hospital. Then another friend, the mom died. Then within that, something happened in my own family. I was just like, yo, I don't even have time to breathe. Your heart is just like being, charged with pain and sadness all the time. And I sat down and I was thinking, okay, so in the lead up now to my birthday, as I've been saying, actually, it was my birthday on Saturday. Thank you for all the wishes you sent me. Oh God, beautiful. And those who showed up at the party yesterday, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was just lovely, and you have no idea what your hugs and your words and your smiles and your laughter and your children did for me. It just elevated me to as just a wonderful space. And even the challenges of getting to my party yesterday, that's another story on another day. But hey, even in all that, there was little miracles that were happening in between. And sometimes you have to you take your wins and go home, small or big, take your wins and go home. So what are you going through that you feel it can be the end of you? And I don't mean in terms of death. It could be that way in case you're facing something like maybe like a terminal illness or whatever. If you're in America, there's a lot of foreclosures happening now because of the pandemic. A lot of people have not been able to keep up with their expenses. Maybe you've been fired, maybe you've been, your contract has been terminated. Maybe the job that you were thinking was going to start doesn't show up, it's been cancelled. It's many things. Maybe the loan you thought will come through hasn't. When the business idea you have just flops or someone steals it. So let me explain the situation I was in. So I was chatting to a girl. She's not a girl. When I say girl, I mean it in a term of girlfriend kind of thing. And I haven't seen her for years. And I just got prompted to say, hey, what happened with your best friend and you? How's she doing and everything? And she was like, girl, if I tell you what that woman did. And as women, when we say that woman, when we start using the third person, we know it's not going to be good. And she explained how this girl, and who's her best friend, and when I say best friend, I've seen people close, but these two were like yin and yang, like they were inseparable. They were in each other's houses, in each other's lives in a very close way. And I was listening to her, and I felt so much pain when she was explaining how her best friend stabbed her in the most left way ever. And it reminded me years back when I had a very close friend and everyone knew about her, and I knew even like her family, her brothers. I used to go see her down south, and she backstabbed me in 7 multiple ways, and I was not able to explain to anyone about it, and people never understood, and they would push me. They're like, oh, you guys were like sisters, but they didn't understand the magnitude of the betrayal. And I felt instead of being all vengeful with her, it's better I exit stage left on her life and never speak to her again. And it's been very healthy for me, and it's been the most wonderful decision I ever made. And actually, I used to think, God, why did I go through that? But when I spoke to this lady, my friend I've not seen ages, now it dawned onto me why I went through that, because I was able to encourage her and said, I know what you're going through, and it might be huge and it might take a while to heal. Because funny enough, those kind of betrayals, they are worse than actually breakups or divorce or anything like that. They are so deep rooted in the soul, you just don't know what to do. You don't know how to eat, you don't sleep. You really need super intervention, divine, to heal. And even that, there's some parts of it that still come up for air for you to just rub you the wrong way, but you do survive it. And I was able to tell her, you guys will be in the same circle all the time. Somehow you've managed to conduct yourself with decorum, and you've not let people know, and they're all wondering. And kudos to you, because if the way people say, oh, women, we're very vengeful, if she wanted, she could have gotten her own revenge, and rightfully so, in the sense of not backstabber, but in the sense of actually exposing the truth, which would have helped the situation. But she chose to keep quiet, which is very honorable, to protect this best friend. Actually, she did. And as she was explaining all this to me, this former best friend walks in and all these things, and she sits across us, and I'm just like, whoa, okay, so what do I do? Anyway, so as I was preparing to leave this particular place, this former best friend of my friend walks. She was like, oh, hi, all those air kisses, and I've been seeing your pictures of your baby, beautiful, and all this. And I actually thought to myself, if this girl who just told me what this best friend had done still us talking, would she feel I'm betraying her or anything? But I realized she knows me as a person, and she knows just because this has happened, I won't start taking sides. I'll be cautious, definitely, now that I know the truth. But it happened too quickly, too fast. And have you ever been in that situation whereby maybe your business partner or your relative is beefing or having a problem with somebody else, and that other person is also in your circle, and you really don't know how to act around them because what they have done is so huge? Humanity says no, it gives them a big L. So even for you, you're finding it difficult to relate with them because of what they've done, not because you have to take sides, but because what they've done is really against humanity. That's all I can say. That's how the easiest way of putting it. So what do you do? What do you do when you're facing that situation? I think my what I decided to do is I chose humanity. I chose to stand on the side of humanity, and I did my part. I said hello in the most respectful way, and I didn't pretend or anything like that, but I was at the same time like very careful now of everything. And I realized why over the years she used to lie about certain situations, because she was covering up. And that happens, whether it's in business, whether it's in your own family, whether it's in a marriage, whether it's in, I don't know, like even government. We see all these headlines and news, the special relationship we have with this country or this and that. And you find there's undercurrents that are happening and things they do, and, you're caught up in between sometimes. And it's crazy, and it's in the daily life we live in, and sometimes it's really hard when you're going through your personal crisis, then to, in the same breath, deal with someone else's crisis, and you have to still stay afloat. You still have to make sure you're not burned by all this, so that you can be able to, process what you're going through and come out unscathed on the other side as much as you can. And I was thinking, I think in life sometimes we are not encouraged to be calm or try and handle what you're going through now and then. And yes, this person is going through that, and sometimes you may not even be able to help this other person with their crisis, but the virtue you just listen to them, that's enough sometimes. And these days I'm a big advocate of being open with somebody and just say, okay, this is what I'm going through right now. I might not be of the best place to support you with what you're going through, but I'm here, and immediately I'm through my storm, especially if it's something I know spiritually, physically, emotionally, I won't be able to carry another thing, even if I love them so much. Then I'm honest, and they know. And sometimes you need that space, and sometimes you need to give someone space if they're not even able to voice that they need that space to process everything they're going through. So this is where this whole situation of being a duck came through, and I was like, okay, so I'm going through this crisis. I need to stay calm. I need to paddle like crazy to the other side. I can see the other side. I don't know what I'll find on the other side. I really am not sure if I'll reach to the other side, honestly speaking. But I have to paddle like crazy. So because I can see there is hope on the other side, so I have to go for that hope. I have to really just dig deep and say, I'm going for this hope. I'm just going for it, and it's painful. And it's such a hazy time in my life, but it's also a beautiful time where I'm realizing what I'm made of. And it's funny that it's actually crisis and hard times that make you see what kind of a jewel you are. And yeah, so I just want to encourage you and just say, in whatever crisis you're going through, in whatever situation is you're going through, just paddle like mad. Stay graceful, stay faithful to what you have to do. Yeah, please, because your obedience also will be the fruit for somebody else in the future. Just because you're going through it now doesn't mean you have to be all kinds of crazy and weird. The world will forgive you if you lose your senses for a bit and cry and mourn over a loved one or a lost business, a lost marriage, a lost relationship, a lost child. They will understand, they'll get it. And if they don't get it, that's up to them. However, what I'm trying to say is, don't give up on something that is your rightful thing. It's your purpose. Because you're going through a lot of crisis, you better put it on ice, chill that situation. If you needed to open a business, for example, you can hold it for a while until you're in a good space to carry it on. And if you decide and if you weigh everything up and you see, really, I can't carry on with this, then it'll be the right decision because you have reflected on it. And yeah, don't journey alone in this whole process. And I hope you get through, and I hope we get to the other side. Thank you for listening to this episode of Crash Cinnamon. Yeah, see you in the next one.